Today, we're diving into some of the most unusual and entertaining questions sent in by viewers. Answering strange hypothetical scenarios is something we've come to specialize in, and we receive hundreds of these questions regularly. So, let's approach a few with genuine scientific curiosity. Let S start with this. How many jellyfish would it take to power a city like Tokyo? Tokyo consumes roughly 280 terawatt-hours of electricity annually. That's more than the combined consumption of 20 smaller countries and even exceeds Australia's usage. So the question is, could jellyfish be a viable renewable energy source? Some jellyfish species, like Equoria victoria, commonly known as crystal jelly, contain fluorescent proteins that allow them to glow in the dark. If you placed one in front of a tiny solar cell, you might generate about a microwatt-hour of electricity. To meet Tokyo's yearly energy needs using this method, you'd need approximately 1.3 quintillion jellyfish. Clearly, that's not practical. So what about using larger jellyfish? Nemopalema nomurai, or Nomura's jellyfish, is one of the biggest out there. These jellyfish can grow up to 2 meters wide and weigh as much as a piano. Covered in hundreds of long tentacles, they drift through the water, consuming plankton. In recent years, their populations have surged, disrupting local marine environments. Maybe this invasive species could be put to better use. While they don't glow, many assume jellyfish are electric because of the painful stings they deliver. However, that sting is due to venom-injecting cells called nematocysts, not actual electricity. So how can we extract energy from them? This is where piezoelectricity comes in. Certain materials, like quartz or bone, generate an electric charge when pressure is applied. In quartz crystals, the atoms are arranged in a specific structure. Under stress, the structure shifts slightly, resulting in a charge separation, positive on one side, negative on the other, similar to a battery. This effect is used in everything from sonar to quartz watches, and even some dance clubs that generate power from foot stomps on special floors. So, here's the concept. Create a giant energy harvesting system using jellyfish. Hook up this setup to a copper wire and, unfortunately, the output is disappointing. Even with around 1,000 tentacles generating power, each jellyfish would only produce about 1 watt, or roughly 10 kilowatt-hours per year. That's enough to power a laptop for 20 days. To keep Tokyo running, we would need roughly 29 billion of these jellyfish. It sounds absurd, but for context, there are about 27 billion chickens alive on Earth today. Nomura jellyfish reproduce rapidly and can grow from the size of a grain of rice to the size of a person in under a year, given enough food. Of course, this plan would require massive amounts of plankton, possibly enough to empty the Pacific, and an equally massive containment system. Giving each jellyfish a 5-meter cube of space means we need a tank with a total volume 7 times that of Mount Fuji. On top of that, all the power cables and jelly tentacles would need to be carefully insulated to prevent short circuits. In practice, this power station would be incredibly complex and expensive to maintain. The jellyfish would frequently die and require constant replacement, and the environmental impact would be catastrophic. In terms of efficiency and cost, it would be like spending $1 million to make a single dollar. So no, it's not a great idea. But now that the calculations are done, technically, nothing is stopping someone from trying. Let S move on to another question. What would happen if it rained bananas for an entire day instead of water? We began by imagining that every droplet in a storm was replaced with a banana. A single square meter can receive millions of raindrops in a heavy storm, translating into a devastating mass of bananas crashing down from the sky like a fruit-based meteor strike. Fun in theory, but not exactly survivable. So, we took a more reasonable approach by replacing the average volume of daily global rainfall with bananas. Around 1.33 trillion tons of water fall each day across the planet. Swapping that for bananas, each weighing around 120 grams, results in approximately 11.1 quadrillion bananas, still weighing 1.33 trillion tons in total. If these bananas followed normal rainfall distribution, even deserts like the Sahara would be buried under billions of them. In fact, with each banana containing about 105 calories, just the Sahara's daily banana quota could feed the entire global population for over 2 months. Certainly. Here's the rewritten and rephrased version of your text in English, without abbreviations, titles, quotation marks, or copyright-infringing phrasing, and with correct names and proper grammar throughout. Across the entire planet, the combined caloric value of all the bananas falling during this hypothetical rain event amounts to an astonishing total of 1.2 quintillion calories. With only one single day of this unusual banana rainfall, humanity could, in theory, be sustained for over 100 years. However, in practical terms, such an event would be anything but beneficial. A banana descending from a height of approximately 3,000 meters, which is around the altitude of a mid-level rain cloud, would accelerate to a speed of roughly 240 meters per second. Upon impact, it would unleash an amount of kinetic energy comparable to dropping a bowling ball from the top of a 50-meter building. Now imagine nearly 13 quadrillion bananas hurtling toward Earth simultaneously. Among the cities most heavily affected would be London, which would endure a downpour consisting of 21 billion bananas, weighing around 2.5 million tons in total. This torrential onslaught of fruit would not only tear through rooftops and shatter glass windows, but also cause significant destruction to historic landmarks and cultural heritage sites. Human bodies would be incapable of withstanding such force, and immediate shelter, indoors or underground, would be absolutely necessary to survive this barrage of falling bananas. Globally, the consequences would be devastating. Infrastructure would collapse, natural landscapes such as rivers and forests would be overwhelmed, and everything would be coated in a thick, pulpy layer of crushed bananas already beginning to ferment. Trillions of liquefied bananas would drift out into the oceans, blocking shorelines and causing ecological chaos. The situation would resemble the aftermath of the most catastrophic oil spills and violent storms ever witnessed, only far more widespread and severe. And that is only the beginning. The decomposing banana matter would release around 160 billion tons of methane gas into the atmosphere, an amount equivalent to 280 times the total annual emissions currently produced by humanity. Methane is a particularly potent greenhouse gas, trapping approximately 28 times more heat than carbon dioxide. Releasing this volume of methane in such a short period would trigger a sharp and uncontrollable rise in global temperatures. Most ecosystems would not be able to adapt to this rapid change, leading to widespread species collapse and triggering a global extinction event of catastrophic proportions. In essence, a rain of bananas on such a scale would represent an apocalyptic disaster. Hopefully, this provides a thorough answer to your question. As we conclude for today, please continue to send in your most creative and even seemingly absurd questions. We are compiling them and plan to address many more in future discussions. That certainly escalated quickly, much like the time I downloaded questionable software from an unreliable website. That experience was not amusing at all. To avoid digital disasters of that nature, we tested out a virtual private network service. This type of tool helps protect against malicious websites, stops web trackers, and blocks intrusive advertisements. Its threat protection feature scans downloaded files, removes malware and tracking software automatically, and alerts you to potentially risky applications. In addition, this service offers a range of benefits. During the summer travel season, it encrypts your internet connection when using public Wi-Fi at hotels, airports, or cafes. You can choose from more than 7,000 high-speed servers across 111 countries, which also allows you to access your usual online content while abroad. Furthermore, you may be able to find cheaper options for booking flights, hotels, or car rentals by accessing websites as if you were in a different country. This service is compatible with all major devices and platforms, and you can use it on up to 10 devices at the same time. If you are curious to explore all the features available, you can visit the official website and take advantage of an extended trial period with a money-back guarantee valid for 30 days.